Welcome to the How to Be Awesome at Your Job podcast, the show where brilliant professionals share how to sharpen the universal skills required to flourish at work. Enjoy more career fun, wins, meaning, and money with your host, Pete Makaitis.
Hello, and thanks so much for joining us here for episode 877 with Richard Moran. Richard has some good wisdom on why small decisions matter and how to make them all the better. So you'll learn one, the one word to purge from your vocabulary. Two, the simple trick that makes making decisions easier. And three, how to use your gut effectively. So if you want to check out the show notes or the transcript or the links to items that we've referenced, please drop on by awesomeatyourjob.com/EP877. Now here's a bit about Richard. Richard A. Moran is a Silicon Valley-based business leader, workplace pundit, best-selling author, venture capitalist, former CEO, and college president. He's best known for his series of humorous business books, beginning with the best-selling Never Confuse a Memo with Reality, and is credited with starting the genre of business bullet books. His body of work includes 10 books about using common sense in business. He's the host of the CBS syndicated radio program In the Workplace. Rich has appeared on CNN, NPR, and most major media outlets. He continues to work with organizations to help them make better decisions and is an influencer on LinkedIn, where he is a regular contributor. Big thanks to Richard for sharing his wisdom with us. And big thanks to our sponsors. Check them out. One sponsor to check out is Harvard Business Review. This brilliant magazine, published at hbr.org, is the leading destination for smart management thinking. Fun fact, HBR has been mentioned in 108 episodes of the show. That's because HBR has great stuff that comes up often. They've got explainer videos, podcasts, real-world case studies, and much more. I think of HBR each night that I put on my special orange glasses. Their article, Will Blue Light Glasses Improve Your Sleep?, revealed that those who wore them reported better sleep and a 7% improvement in work performance as compared to those who wore the sham glasses. So I cite HBR anytime anyone tells me that I look silly wearing them. Now, much of HBR's content is available for free when you sign up at their site. Subscriptions that get you unlimited content cost $10 a month. If you visit hbr.org/subscriptions and enter the promo code AWESOME, you can save 10% off of that subscription. Again, to save 10% off of your HBR subscription, go to www.hbr.org/subscriptions and enter the promo code AWESOME. And big thanks to our sponsor, Acorns. Acorns makes it easy to start automatically saving and investing for your future. You don't need a lot of money or expertise to invest with Acorns. In fact, you can get started with just your spare change. Acorns recommends an expert-built portfolio that fits you and your money goals, then automatically invests your money for you. NerdWallet.com, whom I love on these sorts of matters, gives Acorns a whopping 4.7 stars and says, quote, if you want to make the most of your spare change, there's no better place to do that than Acorns. Head to acorns.com/awesome or download the Acorns app to start saving and investing for your future today. And we got a legal disclaimer here. It may not be representative of all clients. Tier 1 compensation provided. Compensation provides an incentive to positively promote Acorns. View important disclosures at acorns.com/awesome. Investing involves risk, including the loss of principal. Please consider your objectives, risk tolerance, and Acorns' fees before investing. Acorns Advisors LLC, Acorns, is an SEC-registered investment advisor. Brokerage services are provided to clients of Acorns by Acorns Securities LLC, member FINRA/SIPC. For more information, visit acorns.com. One sponsor to check out is Storyworth. Whenever I'm thinking about meaningful Father's Day gifts, Storyworth leaps to mind. Storyworth helps you preserve precious memories and stories from your father for years to come. Each week, Storyworth emails your loved ones a thought-provoking question that you get to help pick, such as, what's the bravest thing you've ever done? I personally love the prompt so much that I have refreshed Storyworth's questions page many times looking for more. Storyworth makes the writing process super quick and easy. All your loved one needs to do is respond to that email with a story, and then you get a quick copy of that. And after a year of this fun, Storyworth compiles your loved one's stories and photos into a beautiful keepsake hardcover book that you'll be able to share and revisit for generations to come. Families love Storyworth so much, they've got 25,000 five-star reviews on Trustpilot and have millions of stories preserved. So give all the fathers in your life a unique, heartfelt gift they'll all cherish for years. Storyworth. Right now, you can save $10 on your first purchase when you go to storyworth.com/awesome. That's storyworth.com/awesome to save $10 on your first purchase. Now, here's Richard. Richard, welcome to How to Be Awesome at Your Job.
Thanks, Pete. I'm happy to be here today.
Well, we're happy to have you talking decision-making in your book, Never Say Whatever, How Small Decisions Make a Big Difference. Could you maybe kick us off with one of the trickiest or most interesting decisions or decision-making processes you've ever witnessed?
Sure. Well, in the book, I interviewed a lot of people about how they make small decisions. And my book is not about huge decisions in our lives. It's about the thousands of small decisions that we're making every day. And I asked some people, how do you make these small decisions? And I got all kinds of interesting answers, everything from some people. One guy said he turns over the magic 8 ball until he gets the right answer, the toy, the magic 8 ball. Some people ask Siri, hey, Siri, what should I do about this? But those are the sort of the outliers. What most people do is
say things like, make a note, do my happenstance, and set a timer for 20 minutes.
Oh, sorry. There he is.
That's good. Actually, that's perfect.
Yeah, there she is. She knows everything. But
It's okay, Rich.
Stop, Siri. Most people use simple things like pros and cons and if-then scenarios and things like that, because the book is about small decisions. And in my research, I found that there's like 3,500 small decisions that we make every day.
Mm-hmm.
And all of them matter. If you don't make any single one of them, your little world on that day might go sideways.
3,500. So, geez, that's like 3 or 4 a minute of consciousness.
Yeah. Well, think about it. In the research, they did the simple test of the decisions that you make when you go out to lunch with a colleague. And they found that there's about 350 decisions that you make when you go out to lunch. Where to go, where to sit, leave your jacket, take your jacket, lettuce, tomato, mayonnaise, sourdough. You get the idea. But every time you say whatever to any of those decisions, you're likely to get the sandwich that you don't want. So all I do is highlight that every time you say the word whatever, bad things might happen. And this might be the easiest interview you've ever done, because all I want your listeners to do is stop saying whatever.
Okay.
Simple as that. I'm the evangelist to kill one word, whatever.
All right. Well, so tell me, while you were putting together this book, any interesting, surprising discoveries?
Yeah. Well, I interviewed leaders as well as men and women on the street. And what I found is that there's a simple solution for curing the whatevers. So if someone says whatever to you, I've discovered that effective leaders, effective people in their jobs say, tell me what that means. Okay, I get it. You said whatever. Tell me what that means. Does that mean you don't care? Does that mean you want me to make the decision? Tell me what that means. And the simple response to whatever of someone saying, tell me what that means, is really helpful. And then on the other side, when people say, well, how do I stop saying whatever? I found that leaders do a simple thing, and that is they are always clear about what their intentions are. So the example that I've used that seems to resonate is, if your intention is to lose weight, you make decisions about being on a diet. If your intent is to stay in shape, you decide to take the stairs, not the elevator. If you intend to stay married, you make decisions that will keep your marriage alive. I know those are very simple kinds of examples, but clarifying one's intent is not as easy as it sounds. So what I want people to do is think about what your intent is for a day, or for this job, or for this project, or for my career. What's your intent? Because then the decisions are easy. If your intent is not clear, then the decisions are hard, are less easy, and you're likely to say whatever.
Okay. Well, so that it sounds like you've nicely segmented a few categories of what whatever can mean. Can you break those down for us?
Yeah. Well, there's lots of definitions for whatever. And it's funny, because as I talk to people about the book, the nuances of how they say it resonates, like whatever or whatever, and each one means a different thing. So it usually means I don't care.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever, I don't care. But it could also mean you make the decision for me and I'll blame you later.
Mm-hmm.
It could also mean I'm helpless, or it could be a dismissive term. Like the example that so often is used is, honey, what do you want for dinner? Whatever. Well, that's a dismissive way to avoid a decision. It can mean I hate you. It can mean I'm going to fill this little space of air up with a useless word. In the book, I've found about 20 different definitions, and All of them are bad except for one.
Let's hear it.
And the one definition that works is, honey, I love you, and I'll do whatever it takes to win back your affection. But other than that, it's not benign. It's a toxic word. And often people have compared it to the F word. And the F word has a lot of meanings too, but it can be benign, and whatever is not. It's toxic. And especially in the workplace where people are paid to make decisions. Everyone is paid to make decisions at work.
Okay. So then tell me, if a small decision comes up and we really are indifferent, what do you recommend we do or say?
Pick one.
Okay.
If you're indifferent, then I can see someone saying, well, they're both good, so I'll take this one. I'll pick this one. How many times have you been in a restaurant or anywhere and whatever projects an indifference, which usually projects indifference is one thing, and that might be okay, but the word projects a sense of you being a slacker, or you just being indifferent means boring. I don't care. And there's a difference between indifferent and I don't care, but it's very slight.
Okay. So tell me if, yeah, you're right. It seems like this isn't easy.
Yeah.
You tell me, Richard, master radio person, if that's the big idea and we've already got it, where should we go?
Well, here I can tell you some stories about how I got onto the word.
All right.
So it's a classic case. I was in a big time consulting firm giving a presentation it was actually about operator centers, and people are going to lose their jobs depending on how the decision went. And as I relayed all the options, the CEO at the time he raised his hands and said, whatever. I said, that's not one of the options. So I wanted him to pick one and he wouldn't. So what he was really saying was, you make the decision for me, Mr. Consultant, and I will blame you later, which of course he did. And the word came to be, people assume that teenage girls are ones that say this word. Remember the movie Clueless with Alicia Silverstone, where she would raise her fingers in a W and everybody would go, whatever. Well, that's how it started, but it's not teenage girls who say it alone. It's everyone who says it. Now, for some people, it could be a shrug of the shoulders, could be, raising your eyebrows or rolling your eyes. It could be the middle finger, could be a lot of things. But every time you say that, it's turning into a decision that you're avoiding. And I've learned in the research also that the decisions that we don't make are the ones that create regret in our lives. So when people say, I should have gone to graduate school, or I could have been a manager, or I would have been more successful had I, the shoulda, coulda, wouldas are all part of the whatever syndrome, that you didn't make the decision. And what the research again shows is that the decisions that we did not make are the ones that we regret. So think about that. Every time you're not making a decision, you're regretting it. And that's not helpful. It's not good. And it even affects our personal lives when we can, in our dealing with our partners and our children, our parents, the whatevers are just toxic, where you should be intentional and you should be trying to do something with your decisions and not blowing them off. Simple as that.
Okay. And so if we do have sort of a fear or an avoidance going on with decisions, how do you recommend we improve that mental space?
Yeah, I call it the FOBO, the fear of a better option. I want to take the high school cheerleader to the prom, but in the meantime, I've got this other, so the better options usually don't appear. And so make a decision based on what you know. There's also, and I love this rule, comes out of Bain consulting firm, that they call it the 2-minute rule. And that is, whether you're an organization or an individual, the decision that you are likely to make in the first 2 minutes of being faced with it is probably the same decision that you'll make if you suffer over it for a week. So make the decision quickly And that way, if it's not the right decision, you can always go back and change it. So the 2-minute rule is something that can affect our getting out of the whatever syndrome. So it's a good rule. And I think it also applies to the regret. So if you don't make the decision quickly, and you're probably going to have regrets about not making it later. And Pete, there's so many books written about decision making. There's hundreds of books, and that include pivot tables and spreadsheets and all kinds of flux capacitors and string theory, who knows what. This is not complicated. What I want people to do is understand that the small decisions are the ones that matter. So please make them. I'm not suggesting that anybody go into a big decision like a career move or a marriage or something. Those are not small decisions and require all the analysis and thoughtfulness that they should. I'm just talking about the small decisions and how important they are. Simple as that.
All right. So if we have a small decision and we have any number of reasons we don't care to make it, we want to blame someone else, we are open to any number of things, we're a little bit scared of the implications. Walk us through. We got 2 minutes to make a small decision. What do you recommend we do to make a small decision greatly in 2 minutes?
Well, a lot of people say, I'm just going to use my gut, which is fine. Gut is fine. Everybody points to Steve Jobs as he always made gut decisions. Well, gut decisions are fine if your gut is informed. Steve Jobs could make gut decisions because he had years of product design and understanding what worked. So your gut decision in the first 2 minutes could be the right way to go if your gut is informed. If it's not, then you need to do simple things like, as I said earlier, just make a list of pros and cons, make a list of, if I do this, do an algorithm. If I do this, then this will happen. If I don't do this, then this will happen. And we're constantly doing that in our head anyway. So use those simple techniques that have seemed to work over time. What I find is that people, when they don't make these small decisions, they pile up. Think about email. Every morning, we all have hundreds of emails. What do we do? The first thing, we delete the ones that are easy. We delete. So out of the 100 emails, there's 50 left. 10 of them are hard. And those are the ones that we might not make decisions about. We wait until later in the week. And on Friday, those 10 decisions are now 50 decisions that are not momentous, but that's what causes decision fatigue. We all have decision fatigue right now about what to wear, what to watch. And it's a good way to avoid decision fatigue is by just making the decisions when you're faced with it.
Now, that's interesting because I had conceptualized decision fatigue as a consequence of making too many decisions. It's like, oh, I am so fatigued from doing push-ups or running. I've done so many push-ups or ran so many miles.
No.
I am now fatigued. But you posit that, no, it comes from not making the decisions.
It is, yeah. And you're faced with it and you don't make it. So all of a sudden you're burdened. You've got the weight of the world on your shoulder because you've postponed all these decisions and now you have to make them all. And they're harder if you wait. So I think both can work. Both are possible. But what I'm suggesting is that when you don't make a decision, they pile up.
Mm-hmm.
And then you get sick and tired of making them all.
Yes, and it's certainly more overwhelming and unpleasant to face an inbox in the hundreds than in the dozens.
Yeah, and they do, as we all know, they do pile up. And the hardest ones are usually the ones that we don't make decisions about.
Indeed.
So that's what I'm trying to get your listeners to avoid.
You've got a turn of a phrase, action follows intent. How does that apply here?
Well, it's something what I talked about earlier about clarifying your intentions, and then your actions and your decisions are much easier to make. And, when people think about intentions, especially in the corporate world, they think about visions and missions. I mean, the intent of Google is to provide information to the world and in a good way and do no harm. But what I've discovered is that people have their own intentions. And one of the guys I interviewed for the book who was so fascinating, his name is John Bullock. He's in Kansas City, or he's in Lawrence, Kansas. And he is both an Episcopal priest and a very successful lawyer. And he has a personal mission statement, which just clarifies his intent. And it's to help people. So every day, his intention is to help people. And then he makes all his decisions along those lines. I'm not doing him justice, but it was a beautiful thing when I heard it because he made all of his small decisions every day because his intentions were so clear. And it works. For him, it really worked. And so that's what the actions follow intent is all about, and make the intentions clear.
Do you have any other perspectives on the self-awareness, the clarity of intention, or articulations, examples of that just make a world of difference in aiding our decision-making?
Yeah. Well, the other thing I learned besides actions follow intent is that good decision makers are self-aware, that they know in their heart of hearts what they really want to do, and they make decisions accordingly. And I think good leaders are self-aware, and good leaders are able to make decisions. So an example I use, I was a CEO of a company, and I knew that I am not good at numbers. I am not good at details. Believe it or not, there are CEOs who are not good at those two things. But I am good at sales. I am good at communicating. I am good at building relationships. So I'm self-aware enough that I could make decisions so that I surrounded myself with people who are good at numbers and good at details. And it just made the organization way better. The fact that I was self-aware enough that I could make decisions like that. And as I talked to leaders around the world, they're all self-aware, and that self-awareness allows them to make better decisions.
Okay. Let's say we do have some clarity of self-awareness and intention, and we are inspired.
Okay.
Richard, we are not saying whatever. We're taking on decisions. We're making them in 2 minutes, frequently or less. Are there any traps or pitfalls within this world that you'd highlight for us to avoid?
Yeah. One is that you make decisions based on what you think other people want.
Mm-hmm.
And that's an easy pitfall. Another is that you don't take risks with your decision making. And a lot of the good leaders made risky decisions. I mean, they were not, or let me put it another way, they were not afraid to make what they would term as a risky decision. Another pitfall is that lots of times we all have to make decisions when all of the options are bad. And well, I see that happening right now in the tech world, or leaders are making decisions based on, should we run out of money or should we lay off people? I mean, both of those options are bad, but you still have to make one. Delaying that decision is going to mean both bad things are going to happen. So I see people really delaying decisions and not making them when the options that are available are all bad.
All right.
So put it all together and it just adds up to success, personal satisfaction, career success. It's all based on the ability to make all those small decisions.
All right. Well, tell me, Richard, anything else you want to make sure to mention before we shift gears and hear about some of your favorite things?
No, I think, as you said, Pete, the whole book is in the title.
Mm-hmm.
Never Say Whatever. And I think we covered it.
Okay. Well, now could you share a favorite quote, something you find inspiring?
Yeah, I have it right here. It's by one of my favorite authors. It's by Arthur Miller. Well, I have two quotes, actually. The Arthur Miller quote is, "One can't forever stand on the shore. At some point, filled with indecision, skepticism, reservation, and doubt, you either jump in or you concede that life is forever elsewhere." Then the other quote I like, it's by Anonymous, is, "I used to be indecisive. Now I'm not so sure."
Oh, okay.
So don't be indecisive. But I like those two.
Okay. And a favorite study or experiment or bit of research?
Well, I loved the Cornell research that talked about the small decisions that we make every day. That's one that discovered how many decisions we make and brought it down to lunch. So it's fascinating when you think about it. And there's also a lot of research that I found interesting in doing the book, and that is how many big decisions people identify in their life. And how many times have we heard somebody say, "Oh, I'm faced with so many big decisions." Well, the truth is, and this is out of a lot of research also, that there's 10 or 12 big decisions in our lives, 10 or 12. And that includes things like your career, where you live, who you marry, your faith, What about children? I mean, it even gets down to whether or not to have a dog. So people think that there's all these big decisions hitting them all the time. There's not. Those big decisions are few and far between because there's so few. It's all those small decisions every day that are what are so important.
All right. And a favorite book?
My favorite book, it's a recent book and it's out now by an Irish author, and it's called This is Happiness. And it's a coming of age story. I bet a lot of your readers don't know about it, or listeners don't know about it, but it's just lyrical about what's important and about how we all transform from young into a mature person. It's a great book. This is Happiness.
All right. And a favorite tool? Something you use to be awesome at your job?
My favorite tool is a hammer.
All right.
In fact, I love hammers so much. I have a large collection of hammers because how frustrating is it when you have something that needs to be hammered and you can't find one? So I have a lot of hammers. That, of course, implies that I treat everything like a nail. And that might be true. When the only tool you have is a hammer, you do tend to treat everything like a nail.
All right. And a favorite habit?
My favorite habit is getting up early and greeting the day with a smile and say, it's going to be a great day and my intentions today are to make it so.
All right. And is there a key nugget you share that really seems to connect and resonate with folks that quote it back to you often?
Yeah. What I've discovered is that as I've talked about the book and the word whatever, they've described it as an earwig. I've put a bug in their ear. Now, I've ruined their day because every time they say the word, they shiver because they know they shouldn't be saying it. So I'm putting earwigs in everybody's ears that don't say whatever. And it'll be annoying now. It'll be like the theme song from Cars for Kids or something. It'll really be annoying.
All right. And if folks want to learn more or get in touch, where would you point them?
I have a website. It's richardmoran.com. And I do look at it and I do respond. And I'm active on LinkedIn. And I'm very responsive. I am really trying to help people be more successful.
All right. And you have a final challenge or call to action for folks looking to be awesome at their jobs?
Well, this is an easy one about stop saying whatever, make those small decisions. That's my challenge.
All right. Richard, it's been a treat. I wish you much luck in all your decisions.
Thanks, Pete. It's been great to talk to you.
I really love what Richard had to say about trusting your gut when it's a well-informed gut. And to that point, associated with your gut is formed by all of the experiences that you've had historically and the connections therein. I like to interrogate my gut a little bit. Like I've got a feeling and it's not a good one. It's like, well, what's that feeling about? It's like, I don't know, I just don't like it. And then if I sit with it a little longer, it's like, well, this kind of reminds me of this thing and that thing, which I bought and then didn't really work. And it was a real pain to try to return. And it was disappointing and frustrating and not worth it. It's like, oh, okay. So then I have surfaced what's subconscious to what's conscious. And I can work with that and say, okay, so my intuition might be right. The thing really might not work. And it might be a pain to return. And I might not get a full refund. So given that's my discontent is the risk associated and the hassle associated with having to return a thing that doesn't work, I can then reflect, given the cost benefit and this risk level, is it still worth doing? And the gut gets factored in. That's how I like to roll with it. And so to form the gut well by having a lot of great experience is cool. And then to surface, what does the gut tell you? A good feeling or a bad feeling is a little bit vague, but the goodness or badness can be all the more specific about a level of risk or a benefit or opportunity or goodies that you're hoping for. So good stuff from Richard. Again, the show notes, the transcript, and links to items we've referenced are at awesomeatyourjob.com/EP877. Hope to catch you next time, and peace.
Thanks for listening. To get the most out of the show, we recommend 2 key things. First, check out the extra resources at awesomeatyourjob.com. You can find this episode's transcript and links, as well as the perfect episode for your situation. You can search the full text transcripts of hundreds of episodes or explore episodes tagged by topic and competency covered. Second, subscribe to the podcast and get future episodes automatically. You can subscribe by telling Siri and several other smartphones and speakers, subscribe to the How to Be Awesome at Your Job podcast, or by tapping subscribe in your podcast player of choice. If you'd like some extra help figuring out podcasts and how subscriptions work, visit awesomeatyourjob.com/subscribe for guidance. Hope to catch you on the next episode of How to Be Awesome at Your Job.
Look around. You can find cars like these on AutoTrader. New cars, used cars, electric cars, maybe even flying cars. Okay, no flying cars, but as soon as they get invented, they'll be on AutoTrader. Just you wait. AutoTrader.